Incredible. Wow. Good stuff. Well,
Great.
I think we should kick this episode off because we got a lot to talk about, and we got some exciting stuff to mention at the end of the episode. We should kick off the episode, and we should plug Patreon at the start. You are welcome for remembering.
Sounds great. I am
looking for your marbles.
Kind of my marbles. My bell.
I've got mine ready to go.
Cool. Mine works. Yep, yours works. Great.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. Hi, welcome to the One About Godzilla movies, episode 37, the final Godzilla movie. We've watched all of them. This is it. It's over, right,
all
Brian?
The ones that currently exist.
This is it, Brian. Right? It's over, right? We're done after this. That's what Brian just kind of teased that we have some really exciting news, and the exciting news is that you don't have to hear from us anymore after this, right? No, it's actually quite the opposite of that. Why don't you just please spill the tea, because it is your idea and I love it.
Okay, so there's true things and false things about what you just said. It is true that this is the end of the journey that we started on when we recorded 1954 and 1956, our very first episode. We set out on a journey to watch all of the existing Godzilla-affiliated movies.
Mr. Frodo.
And this one we're talking about today is the last one of those movies. However, so this is like our last episode about one of those movies, of course. However, the listener should know we're excited. We have planned 2 finale episodes for this podcast
that are going to be huge.
Big eps, brother.
And not just, in how we know that they're going to be just so warmly recepted by the world, especially as this...
Did you say recepted?
Yes. Warmly recepted by the world as this phenomenon of Godzilla continues to grow. But also, they're going to literally be so long, and I am already...
That's true. They will be long.
Wincing at the editing.
Yeah, it'll...
You can tell it's an Aspen by the way that it is.
Oh, God, I love that series. Nature Walks on YouTube, if you're wondering. You should go... Not Nature Walks.
Neat.
N-E-A-T. Nature Walks. You should look that up. God, we're so ADD. Okay, so
I'd like to get
in. We'll save some of the fun little details for our Patreon audience. Maybe at the end of this episode, we'll talk a little bit more about it. But ultimately, we kind of ended up blazing through the MonsterVerse movies very early in this podcast because of the order we chose to watch them in. Mm-hmm. And now we finished all these movies. Me being the newcomer, I thought it'd be cool to go revisit the MonsterVerse movies. And I know that there will be a lot that I'll appreciate and notice referentially about those movies and the lore that they're building on and or reinventing. And I haven't seen them in a long time. Long time since we recorded those episodes. So I'm excited to revisit those ultimately 4 movies. And that'll be our penultimate finale episode. And then our true finale episode, for now, we're going to do Mount Rushmore of Godzilla movies.
Yes.
So we haven't finalized which ones we're going to cover yet, but I have in my head some very strong ideas about what my favorite 4 Godzilla movies are. And we want to do an episode kind of just revisiting and talking about the top 4. So, an exploration of Mount Rushmore of Godzilla movies. That's the idea. Just a little exploration.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm I'm laughing at you. I glanced over at my notes about the movie we're about to talk about, and I just have to let you know. Good. Yes, but also I just need to let you know right up front, I'm going to be cursing in this episode, and there will be at least 2 F-bombs. I already know that. So just, if that matters to you, I don't care. But
we're going to put the F in fun.
They're happening.
So that's what's upcoming.
I do that when I edit these? Should I do that thing where they're like, the person swears and they beep it, but they also leave in the full curse, so you hear both things?
Yes, I think that's the funniest. I still think that's the funniest way of bleeping. It doesn't obscure the word at all. It really just draws more attention to it, honestly.
Exactly.
It's like funnier to me. Anyways, we'll expand on that a little bit at the end, our finale episodes, and talk a little bit more to our Patreon friends.
Yes.
Kind of what we're going to be doing there. But yes. the other thing you should know is this podcast isn't done because Godzilla movies aren't done. So as of right now, there's Godzilla -0, the sequel to Godzilla -1, which is coming out this year in 2026 in, I believe, November it's coming out. And Caleb just confirmed the next MonsterVerse movie, Godzilla X Kong something.
Supernova, Godzilla X Kong Supernova.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's coming out next year. It looks like in March.
Yep,
in
March.
2027, if you're not listening, in 2026. So,
yeah.
So we'll do fresh episodes for those, of course. It'll be fun to go see a new Godzilla movie in the theater again. Well, I've only seen 2 in the theater, but it'll be fun to see a new one in the theater for sure.
Fresh content in the theater. I'm excited. I really hope that it's the exact same team that made -1 is making -0. And so
yep.
I'm hoping that feeling continues, but there are more kaiju. And I just think if they keep both of those things, it's gonna be hard to not see it 7 times like I saw -1. I'm so excited. I'm excited about where the franchise is heading. I really am. So let's talk about today's movie.
First of all,
sure.
For some of those details later, where can the listeners get some of those secret details?
Dang, yeah, we need to do some self-promotion. Give us your fucking money.com. You can go to patreon.com. That's my friend's podcast, though.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's their Patreon URLs. Give us your fucking money.com.
Wow. Shameless.
You can go to patreon.com/ the one about... Shame. No shame, dude. The one about Godzilla movies, Patreon. I said it. You can the link. There are you. If you can't find it, you. Wow, is all I have to
Godzilla
say.
Movies.
Yeah. Anyways, and
unedited content.
Unedited content. What are we going to be doing? That's where you're going to find all these like. Are you trying to say that that's where the next 2 episodes are going to be? Our 2 like final episodes, or are we doing
I'm saying we'll spill some details about what we have planned today at the end of this episode, and if you listen to the unedited version, you'll know more than the average Joe. That's all I'm saying.
See, there he is. Thank you for
behind the scenes.
Just, pull the curtain back a little bit. What's in the show is in the show, but at the end of the show today, on Patreon, you will be able to hear kind of what our actual ideas are for the next 2 super finale episodes. And it's like $1 a month right now. It could be different in the future, but as it is right now, it's $1 a month. Who doesn't have $1? We might
lower it to, Earth mail us some Starbucks, We'll.
Those were words, and we're going to move on.
My ability to tank the flow of this conversation is
unparalleled. Unparalleled in any dimension.
So we have a lot to talk about today of this movie.
Oh, boy. Let's strap in.
Our final episode, Godzilla Final Wars. It's not our final episode. I was trying to tie it in. It didn't work.
Finaru Wazu.
Is that what they? Is that what they called it?
Yeah,
when you watched the movie,
the transliteration is Godzilla Final Wars or Wazu. I'm just really butchering the Japanese.
First of all, did you watch this movie in English again?
I did. Yes.
How many of these movies did you watch in English? And also, why do you do that?
Because that's how I've always seen them. And I particularly like being able to pay attention to visuals in these movies. And I have a really hard time doing that when I have to also pay attention to subtitles.
I'm going to guess our mustache friend didn't stand out as much when you watched this movie. Wait, we'll get there.
Dude.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Captain Gordon?
I'm just going to tell you right now, he's not dubbed in the slightest in Japanese. So that's a thing.
So he's in English in the Japanese version?
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it now then.
Never mind.
There is one character in this movie, Captain Gordon.
Yeah.
And I titled him Wish.com Tom Selleck. He understands Japanese, but only speaks English the whole movie. And he's not a random one-off. He's a main character. He speaks in English the whole movie, and everyone else speaks Japanese, and it makes negative 0 sense.
It makes minus 0 sense. Hey. Anyways.
That was a little thought out of order.
That's great. We'll come back to that. So yeah, today's movie, Godzilla Final Wars, 2004. It is the sixth and final movie in the Millennium series, and is the final Toho film until Godzilla -1, just a few years ago. Yeah, dude.
It's also, importantly, it's the 50th anniversary Godzilla film.
Yeah.
What a movie to make for the 50th anniversary.
What a movie to make for the 50th anniversary, dude.
It's a little tough.
It's a roller coaster ride.
But yeah, it's like a significant milestone kind of a movie, and they intended it to be their last film, really. Just kind of put a button on the franchise. Let it be an homage to all the things that everyone loves about the franchise.
Yeah,
including not having a plot. They really honored that well, I think.
Are you kidding me? What?
Let's get into it, shall we?
Let's get into it, dude. Right off the bat, dude. The most unreadable title cards of all time. Underneath it is a really cool montage of most of the movies from 54 to 2002.
What category is the thing you're saying right now under? Out of curiosity.
Didn't like it. So right off the bat, I don't like it.
So one of the first things that I wrote down under things I disliked, simply because his name came on screen as a credit, I wrote down Kyle Cooper's cocaine-induced opening titles. Holy epilepsy warning.
That's amazing.
You couldn't even read anything on screen. It was flying by so fast. It was literally flashing lights, bits and pieces of footage, and explosions.
Something about some 41 and like.
Drugs must have been involved in some of this production.
Not made on cocaine.
And it wasn't even made in the 80s.
Of cocaine. Yeah, no. The early 2000s, dude, is even worse than the 80s. The early 2000s are going to make the 80s look like the 60s. This movie is made of cocaine, dude. It's insane.
It's crazy.
I'm going to be including here in our review here when I go to the editing, Tippy Toe Lemon Tree. When I go to edit this, I have a whole segment called "Let's Rip Off the Matrix," and. That's just kind of like the whole theme of the entire movie, but I am going to be pointing out and making much ado about every time that they rip off the Matrix.
With that in mind, I have a few general thoughts, actually. I agree about the Matrix. This movie also shamelessly rips off tropes from Star Wars prequel trilogy. I would say X-Men. It feels very the year after X2 came out. It feels very like that. Mm-hmm. But thematically, it is direct ripoff of every trope in the Matrix movies. Really, everything after the first Matrix movie, which the first is a classic and everyone loves it, and the other ones are highly debated and not as well.
The other ones are two of the movies of all time.
Yeah, there were a lot of things happening, and some of them were okay. So yes, they ripped off all those things. I also wrote down things I didn't really like, and I wrote them down in like the first 3 minutes. I wrote both things down. And it carried through the whole movie. So it really applies to the whole movie. I wrote down 90s N64 quality music. Almost like it's the soundtrack to GoldenEye. What is this music?
Dude, you don't remember? This is so early 2000s, dude. It's did you ever play Jet Set Radio Future on the N64? That's what you just said, N64
didn't
music.
All sound like this.
No.
It sounded like a video game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It sounded like video game music in a movie. Not high quality. And I also wrote down budget CGI. Just to give credit where credit is due, like this is early CGI era.
And they were still
things are still taking shape.
Yeah, but they still highly valued practical effects, and we're still trying to do.
They still did a lot of practical stuff, which is good.
Practical stuff.
They dove a little too deep into relying on CGI, and that's like me saying that. I'm not criticizing the decision, and I wouldn't have expected them to make any other decision at the time because. Like,
what are you gonna do?
Every other movie from 2004 that involved in kind of special effects like this, they all look bad like this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. I mean, there's only a few franchises and like special effects houses that are doing the cutting edge stuff. Really,
it costs
basically
way more money than anybody else has, and that's really the only reason.
Anything, if you look at ILM, Industrial Light and Magics, or Weta Digital, if you look at their resume in the early 2000s, their films are more or less great. Anything other than them, not great. Yeah. Like there was truly a skill gap between those two companies and the cutting edge stuff they were doing. They were leading the charge in every way. Nowadays, there's many VFX houses that are capable of really great work. But yeah, at the time, like, yeah. So there's just like a lot of bad CGI.
Nowadays it's not even like whole VFX houses. It's some freaking nerd with a MacBook, you know, like there's still VFX houses, but we're getting there. I think we're another.
It's more custom built PCs, but
yeah, well, still. But yeah, I mean, anyways, continue. I agree.
True of the whole movie. Is there any way we can try and go through this chronologically?
Yes,
we
all
both
of my
have
notes.
So many notes.
All of my notes are chronologically. Where they begin, however, I didn't actually begin. Well, I can remember everything for me begins in the octagon, and then it's chronological. So the kind of opening, I didn't really write anything down because my jaw was on the floor for most of it. But
it was all coming back to you.
We'll be good. Yeah, it was just.
When's the last time you watched this movie?
Like a flood. 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, which is
and before
around.
That, when you were a kid.
Yeah, but that was like 2004. I was a sophomore in high school, 4 or 5, 6, or a freshman in high school. So, and I definitely watched it several times throughout. Yeah, so probably the last time I saw it was maybe like 2007. So I think what ended up kind of being the whole reason we started this podcast was that I was revisiting the movies, and somehow you and I started talking about them. But I think I started in the Millennium era, and was just like, I'm just going to start here because I've seen all these before, and these were some of the more modern ones and probably the ones that I remember the most. And what's really interesting is that I had kind of, when I, like in my review from this movie from 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever it was, I was very clearly like, not really remembering the roots of the franchise as I was watching these movies with my modern version of me. And I think it's why some of my reviews of the Millennium Era movies were on Letterboxd right now are like kind of like not in the best light. And like, but now that we've watched, since we're here at the top of the movie, now that we've watched all of these, I have a like even deeper like appreciation for this franchise and where it's come from, and then like what this director especially was trying to do with this movie specifically. That it's just my opinion of these films has gone up a little bit, but yeah.
Are you updating your Letterboxd reviews right now?
Not in this very moment, but I have like a little addendum to this one for sure that I need to add that I wrote down. So, but we'll get to that. It's for some reason it's in the middle of the movie. Anyways, so top of the movie, where things are cold and this pointy giant drill thing just kind of comes blasting out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's with like it's like the kind of ship that's throughout the movie, but it's like them fight. It's a scene of them like fighting Godzilla, and I believe it's supposed to be like a while ago or something.
Yeah, I'm led to believe it's supposed to be like
fast
end of the 90s era-ish, like, yeah, I don't know, some kind of retconning of it's supposed to be a long time ago.
Well, I mean, we know later in the movie that Godzilla's like frozen at this base and like at the South Pole.
Yep.
So presumably the way this movie is opening, it's them like establishing that.
Freezing him into it.
It's really hard to tell though. I did write down there was, I don't know if it was this or like shortly after, but there was like some kind of kaiju creature wrapped around the ship underwater.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably after this scene.
It is after this scene. So this scene is in like the 80s or something, because what's his face, Gordon, is supposed to be a kid. That we learn that later. Like he's first, in his 20s or something, 18, 19 probably. And so they've locked Godzilla away in the Arctic. And then we fast forward to 2004, and now Gordon is the captain of that same ship. And they are still doing missions. And we've now are supposed to have learned that there is this thing known as the Earth Defense Force, which are fighting all of these kaiju. That was kind of like what we learned kind of like in the credit scene. Yeah, essentially it's like we see back in time, then bury Godzilla in Alaska. We do the credit scene with a lot of like just explaining, the South Pole. And we do opening credits, the unreadable title cards with an LSD trip attached to it. And
I didn't have any trouble with them because they were all subtitled, so I just read the subtitles.
And
so that helped me.
Whatever. And so then we then we fast forward to 2004, and Captain Gordon is now the captain of this submarine. He's part of the Earth Defense Force. Himself. Mr. Mustache, Mr. Timu, Tom Selleck.
I think he got his acting lessons from Timu as well.
Yeah, for sure.
On VHS.
So and he has what is the name of that monster? Manda.
I just remember
Manda is wrapped around.
Was it Manda?
Yeah,
that's
Manda is wrapped around their ship.
Had
and they're underwater, basically.
The same thought I had when we first saw Manda, which was like it's like a King Ghidorah head, like on a snake, like wrapped around. So that was Mando.
Yeah,
that's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and I thought it was a good idea. Like, I just thought it was a very like. I like the. It felt like a Star Wars opening a little bit more than just like a lot of these movies open at sea, or we just like some unexpected like people are just suddenly attacked by Godzilla or something. And we already had that first bit before the title cards and everything, but like this kind of felt, you're just like plunged right back into the action. And I feel like Star Wars does that pretty consistently as well, where, you like this battle is raging and that's how a movie starts or something. You're floating in space for a second and then all of a sudden, zoom.
There's basically no breathing room in this movie. There is no so pause of any kind.
For 2 hours, dude. It does not stop.
It's just cut. Now this thing's happening. Now there's other things happening. And you're like, bro.
Yeah.
Breathe.
I say this a few times throughout the whole movie, but it brings to mind where... I'll just say this now because it doesn't really matter where I say it. It feels like a shonen anime or a shonen manga. And I know that you don't know what that means right off the bat, but you know some of these anime, what I'm going to say. So shonen actually means young boy in Japanese. And so, but it's a series of anime and manga that are like usually aimed at like teenagers to early 20-ish age people. So like 15 to 22 is the range. But a shonen anime or a shonen manga is characterized by like super high action, adventure, themes of friendship, self-improvement. And then they're often, especially the like manga versions, are done weekly, or there's a new episode of a TV show weekly. So some of the really like notable and easily recognizable shonen are Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, One Piece, just like big grand adventures, lots of like fighting and strength and perseverance and all that kind of stuff. Like this movie, and lots of like just out of nowhere, like really unbelievable things happening. You know what I mean? It just feels like the guy that directed this movie, like, is just really familiar with shonen and that whole like phenomenon, as it did kind of like come up in the late 90s and early 2000s. And because like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z were huge at the time that this movie came out. I mean, they're still huge now, but they were like mid-stride in the early 2000s. You know what I mean? So.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that lends to like the shonen aspect is what brings that, like, it's almost like the direct opposite of what most anime and what Japanese filmmaking is, with the like, we're going to make you take your time. We're going to like stretch this out. We're going to like just go slow. Shonen is, yeah, it's a roller coaster. You get on and there's no break until it's over. Very high action. So
yeah,
but yeah, dude. So yeah, they do all this like this fighting, and essentially that's a way to like the whole like Manda thing is to set up that Gordon is a loose cannon and he does what he wants, and that whole mission ends up getting him court-martialed, right? So then he's like locked away in a shell or in a cell and kind of not part of the movie for a while.
Yeah, I just need you to understand how jarring it is
to be listening to Japanese.
It's like, yeah, it's like all Japanese. And then it's just everything that this man says is in English.
I'm gonna have to watch this movie in Japanese.
And the way he delivers his lines, or so whatever you want to call it, it's bad. But it's also iconic somehow. Like every line becomes more hilarious because of how much he stands out. Like his delivery is trash. he has zero acting ability. He's just standing there with all these Japanese characters. And then he's like, it's my turn to say my line. And then it's really funny.
He is the big bruiser, anime character. This movie is so anime inspired, down to oh man, we'll get there.
I'm bringing it up because there are some other English lines in this movie said by other characters than him. And my point is just get those lines stand out more when the dialogue's Japanese.
Yeah.
So a couple of those things stood out. All right, let's keep going. So Mando, whatever the heck it is, Mando. Yeah. Mando is Star Wars. Pretty early on, probably the next bit is we get into all of a sudden there's warnings of all these attacks happening around the world, and all these kaiju are attacking in all these different cities, and they're kind of listing off all these characters. So this would be a good moment to kind of talk through all the characters we see in this movie initially, and then maybe less later on, because there's sort of the initial run of shots of these characters in cities. I think there's maybe a longer list of characters than later.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, there's so they do that whole little bit, and they explain that there are mutants who are part of the Earth Defense Force, and there are people that have these super abilities and stuff, kind of like that. Yeah, there's the X-Men kind of nod. But we get back to I just thought that the way that they introduced these two characters is really interesting. They this is one, let's rip off the Matrix, but let's also rip off Super Sentai / Power Rangers. They're in this octagon thing. Dude, training.
My mind went to fighting. Wolverine, bro.
Ooh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
I kept seeing X-Men when I was watching this movie.
That's great.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even. Now that you say that. Big so influence. Much is X-Men, yeah, for sure.
Even just using the word mutant. Yeah. Did they get sued? I don't know. Probably not. But
probably not.
You can't convert that word.
But so they introduce Ozaki, and Ozaki, as long as we're going with Timu, characters off of Timu, this dude is Timu Neo. Where he's vaguely looks like Keanu Reeves, and I think it's the haircut. But I could be wrong. So there's him, and then he gets told that he is basically getting a babysitting assignment for a doctor, Dr. Miyuki Otanashi, which I have 3 heart eyes faces next to her name in my notes because goodness gracious. And then
for that section, I wrote down chauvinist dialogue.
Yeah.
Because he's you're a biologist, but you're a woman.
Yeah, so much
or something.
Dialogue, dude. It's just it's so bad.
Why?
Yeah, he's you're probably gonna stick me with somebody who's all old and grumpy and blah blah blah. And she goes, actually, I'm not grumpy at all. And he turns around and it's
he firstly is well, you can't be a biologist because you're a woman or something. He's and then he's you can't be you're probably a model. He quickly shifts to
it's just you're too pretty to be smart.
Just
so weird, dumb. So dumb.
I also need you to know that I titled the first bit you were talking about Charles Xavier's School for Godzilla Warriors.
Titles.
I have many titles.
Charles Xavier.
That's what it felt like to me.
Godzilla
We're
Warriors.
Rolling up to the training school for the Godzilla fighter guys.
Yeah. They got to have a base. You got to have somewhere to put the
whatever
mutants.
The heck they called it.
Yeah, exactly. M University. So we get introduced to these two people, and then we get introduced to the old guy, Dr. Januji, and they're doing research. So you hear the twins say, the monster's name is Gigan. And then everybody looks up and is like, where did those voices come from? And then there's this sweet full 360 shot of the three of them standing together, and they've been teleported to Infant Island. What a great way to do that transition. I loved that. So they're told that the creature's name is Gigan, and there's like inscriptions on the cave wall of Gigan and Mothra. Was that Gigan was sent from space to wipe out life on Earth, but that Mothra like subdued him and like stopped him basically and covered him in some kind of rock or whatever. And then all this is
before all of the kaiju attacking in the cities around the world.
Seconds before all of this happening.
Okay.
So then they give Ozaki this tiny little sword. And they're like, you have an important destiny and you have to choose your fate and blah, 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 blah. And then they
the little like sword amulet thing feels like a throwback to the Mothra movies.
Yeah, for sure.
The 90s
for sure.
ones.
Yeah, the Rebirth series.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they just transport them back to wherever they were. And then we cut to, there's monsters just popping up all over the world. And it starts with Rodan attacking New York City.
Who is whipping around with the speed of 1,000 jets.
So here is the other CGI Rodan
the screen.
At the speed of sound.
He's supposed to be moving fast, but
words. This was the other scene that had English speaking in it, and featured
the New York scene.
Featured a pimp and a New York City cop and a drunk homeless man
with the New York title screen at the bottom, in case you needed to know. This is what we think New York is.
This is what we needed. But hey, also here's another edition of Let's Rip Off the Matrix. All of our like title things that pop up are in like, there's kanji, there's American, or English American. There's English underneath it. Cheeseburger, bang, bang, America. And they're all outlined in green, like all of the like wording and title stuff from the Matrix. Anyways, so
there was a couple office building scenes that were like green colored, and I'm like, not even subtle at this point.
Not even subtle at this point.
No.
But okay, so there's that whole thing, and they're like, "Yeah, man, this is a hand cannon. I'll blow you all the way back to New Jersey." And then like they're yelling at the homeless guy. And then,
by the way, one of that cop's lines, he only had a few, but like the middle line of like 3 was completely dubbed.
Yeah, because he tells him to shut the fuck up.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, if you read his lips, he's like, shut the fuck up, man. And they like dubbed it over.
What I could tell that it's like whatever he said on the set, they were like, yeah, we have to replace that. We
have to, yeah. So they curse at the homeless guy, and then like the pimp turns back to the cop, and the cop's got a gun in his face, and then all of a sudden, oh God, it's a giant birdie, and here's Rodan.
And that added just so much to the movie.
And here's Johnny. So then we go to Sydney, Australia, and I loved this cameo. I have it written down in all capital letters and 6 exclamation points. Zilla! He would have looked way better with a physical model or something, but there was never actually a physical model for that Godzilla. It was all CG. So
he would have looked better with more modernized CG, but
also that.
Arguably, they did the homage better by making it look bad because it looked exactly like 1998.
Oh, sick burn. Sick burn. And then we go to Anguirus attacking Shanghai, King Caesar attacking Okinawa, Kamakura attacking Paris, Kumanga in Phoenix, Arizona, and Abira attacking Tokai. Now,
Abira was cool.
Oh, Abira was so cool.
We haven't really seen him attacking a city. That was cool to see. I didn't know the other ones, really. So...
Well, what's really cool is like...
Which one is the one that looks like a mantis?
The mantis is Kamakura. And we've seen
they were like all over
Kamakura.
Monster Island back in the day.
Exactly. Yep, they're from Monster Island.
And we see a spider from Monster Island as well.
Yeah, Kamanga is the
Kamanga,
spider.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, dude, what I love about this is that in the Monsterverse, King of the Monsters, there's a moment where what's his face, the coach from Friday Night Lights, is there. He's on this airplane. Yeah, Kyle Chandler, and they're explaining to him, like Godzilla's not the only kaiju. We've been at this for a long time. We have them all over the world, and they like show him this like map, and a couple of them like flash by. Kumonga, they put Kumonga the spider in Phoenix, Arizona, and like they show him attacking Arizona at one point. I thought that was really cool. And they have, I believe, Kamakura attacking Paris in that movie as well. So they like, yeah, I don't know. It was just really cool. They did like the same cities. They're kind of from similar places or whatever. Well, yeah. So, except for Rodan is from that volcano in Mexico, which makes way more sense than just appearing out of nowhere in New York City. Anyways, what I didn't understand, I really love, like I've already said, I appreciate the anime influence on this movie, but what I didn't understand is like Rodan goes flying over these dudes' heads and their hats come flying off and go yoink. Like why did we have to do that? Let's rip off the Matrix. We did that. Zilla, we did that.
We also have Sonic the Anguirus.
Dude,
rolling down
Anguirus and soccer ball
street.
Mode, dude. Yeah.
I don't think we've seen that. We literally rolled up like a freaking armadillo, brother.
I loved it, dude. So cool. I think what's funny is in the English dub, at one point, one of the aliens calls him an armadillo, or just this freaking armadillo.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm seeing here that we haven't addressed something that happens in the middle of the chauvinist dialogue, or just before it.
Okay.
We have just out of nowhere, just a scene with this old man and a boy.
Oh yeah.
And
out in the woods.
What I wrote down here,
like,
Manila looks as terrible as ever. Is what I wrote down.
Poor
scene
guy.
with Minya or Manila, if you will. Just no context. They're just there. And I want to say like 40 seconds into the scene, a title card comes up that says Mount Fuji. And I'm like, why are you telling me now where this is? Also, how does that help the scene? Also, why is the scene in the movie? Why is Manila in the movie? Why am I watching this movie? Those are the thoughts that were in my head.
Well, Manila was in.
Came up.
He was in, what was the Destroy All Monsters was where they like kind of got this idea originally. Was where all of the monsters were attacking.
I could tell you a better idea right now would be to not include him in the movie at all.
Oh man. Wait until you hear my very last note at the end of this. Anyways.
There's two kinds of Godzilla fans. I hated it.
Let's see. I have written down Anguirus is so underrated. And I have another edition of Let's Rip Off the Matrix that the Earth Defense Force has like multiple ships in their fleet that each kind of have like a weird design. And their captain is kind of weird on each of them. We've got Captain Gordon and then Captain whoever the other guy is with the dreads and everything. Like they're just kind of like, I don't know, like they dress all crazy and each have their own thing and whatever. It's a very Matrixy thing to me. And then I have the fight scene with the Bira. Oh, I meant to Google this. We can do this live together. Hi, hello. The fight scene with the Bira.
Where the Defense Force takes on a Bira.
Yeah, where the Defense Force takes on a Bira. That felt like the anime Attack on Titan. And I want to see
if someone from Attack on Titan was involved.
Release.
When it came out.
Japanese manga. (2009). Cool. So Attack on Titan feels like this fight scene. No, I like the feel of that fight scene. It was a really cool, I don't think we've had very many or any good like human versus kaiju fight scenes in a movie. And I love that they were like, well, we're going to take these mutants and we're going to let them actually fight a kaiju.
Yeah, they had some specialized weapons and guns and things, and they kind of worked together. Yeah, and I particularly like the way the fight ended, which one of our main character energy boys up on top, before he shoots him, he says in English, "Sorry, I'm a vegetarian."
Yeah. Pow!
That was one of those English lines that really stands out after you've been listening to Japanese.
That's so great.
Yeah, those lines get me every time. Yeah, it's just funny. Yeah.
The next thing I have written down is, why is everything orange?
Orange or green, man. One of the two.
Yeah, like, and so just like
coloring is all over.
Blown out. It seemed like, you know what I mean? Like overly. I don't know. It just kind of like the whites almost seem to be washing out a little bit at times. Maybe that's just my display.
So from this point, we have kaiju everywhere, and they're fighting all these cities, and then all of a sudden, they all get just kind of zapped.
Everything's gone.
Yep, and the Defense Force are like talking about what just happened, like all the kaiju disappeared. They're pretty excited about it.
Something's on radar all of a sudden, and
and then the UFO shows up. Which,
very interesting design for a UFO, very original in my opinion. It's not a saucer, it's not a tube.
Unique design, yeah.
It is a giant globe with spiky feet on it, like kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah, what I have written down from that is, there's the moment like it appears and it's like hovering there and everybody's trying to well, where is it? And this girl just goes 0.00, sir. And there's a pause. She goes,
someone wrote that.
It's above us. And then somebody pops out, everybody panics, and somebody like pops out in the background and goes, it's here!
And then there's this crazy wide shot of like a normal looking city with a very CG thing above it.
Yeah, in orange, no less.
It's very much
very orange.
A very Independence Day shot. This movie rips off Independence Day too.
Oh, like, yeah, dude. Wow.
It's all kind of like,
we just gotta start
not too far in the rearview mirror. These things, it's ripping off.
Yeah.
Better for worse.
And then at this point, or shortly after, like, especially as they start showing humans talking about what are we going to do about these aliens, that like this, like, or there's like people on the news and they're, talk shows and stuff. I had written down that all like there are human character designs in this movie, specifically not aliens, but people who are actually like humans, maybe some of the mutants too, but like they have outfits and hairstyles that are like IRL anime or IRL manga. Like there's plenty of normal people, normal clothes, blah blah blah, but they're just random characters with like the Secretary General of the United Nations that we haven't talked about yet, but like his entirely silver suit.
Guy.
Yeah, graybeard guy who's been in like 18 Godzilla movies. His entirely silver suit. Or there's somebody at one point that's wearing like a purple like satin button-down shirt and then a leather like blazer jacket. And like it's this like early 2000s fashion meets the Matrix, but also like there's this one dude, like he's clearly Japanese and like they all have black hair and unless they dye their hairs, and everybody's hair is black, and this dude is like had bleach put in his hair and it's like slicked back and stuff, so he's just got like this like orangish like, but still kind of black, like hair and a funny mustache. Like just random one-off things that made me just keep like anime characters have all kinds of like random hair colors and stuff like that. And it just made me, I appreciated that they started doing this in this movie.
Yeah, at least they committed to that style.
Yeah.
I did not pick up on the fact that it was Akira Takarada in that role.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the beard through me.
Yeah,
I didn't recognize him.
The goatee. But
yeah, he's been in a lot of Godzilla movies.
Yeah, I actually have a bit of trivia about Takarada and that that kind of thing at the end too. So, yeah.
So essentially, he's the new UN guy. He establishes that the UFO shows up.
Well, and we skipped over this part. So we are introduced to Takarada's character. We don't know who he is. We just see him on a plane somewhere, and his plane is he's on his way back to Japan from New York, and his plane is attacked by Rodan and blows up, and then we do all the other monster scenes, and then all the monsters disappear, and then we meet the aliens. And this alien ship appears, and everybody rushes up to the roof of this building or wherever it is, and who appears but the Secretary General of the UN. The heck is his name in this movie?
We can just call him Silverbeard. But they
Secretary General Dago, Daigo, Secretary General Dago, and he's like, I was in trouble and they saved me, and now they're here to save all of us, and and so we go through this. I don't know if you have any.
The Zillions are our friends.
Yeah, the Zillions are our friends. Hey, this is some alien race, and they're gonna help save us, and blah blah blah. Very we've had this plot in Godzilla films before. I love this. The
Zillions are basically our planet's hard to pronounce, but you can call us Zillions. There's this giant planet headed to destroy Earth in a certain amount of time, and we have this plan to help you and avoid the whole thing. But you need to do what we tell you, and we're going to save you.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
And so there's that going on. And so then there's this whole poll back and forth. Do we believe them? Do we want to work with them? Why wouldn't we believe them or work with them? Yes, we want to do that. But then there's this kind of slowly they're figuring out hey, so we meet Dr. Otonashi's sister, Miyuki's sister, Anna. Yeah, Anna. She's a reporter. She's a reporter, and we have a flashback scene, or we see a video, or it's on the news, of her interviewing the Secretary General, and him talking specifically about how much he loves his dog, and all this kind of. He's so excited to be able to go home and see him because he's been away at the UN and blah blah blah. And so then all this stuff with the aliens happens, and then Anna comes to visit her sister, and they're looking over all this footage about these aliens, and she starts to notice that hey, this whole entire interview here about all this United Nations, the space nations, blah blah blah, this dude never blinks. He hasn't blinked once, and that's really suspicious. And so there's this whole section of them slowly starting to realize that the aliens have infiltrated the human race basically, and are something is up here, something is not right.
Something's not right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So
the UN guy actually, he gives a big speech at UN or something.
Yeah.
A big we're going to work with the alien speech, and there's sort of a standing ovation, and kind of makes it seem like everyone's on board and no one really thinks anything is up.
Yeah.
Because there's this minority who's investigating, yeah.
Yeah, except for Anna Otonashi, who was there. And then I feel like it's she went to her sister because I don't even know how she got connected into it, other than
They didn't explain it, much like they didn't explain many other things.
Yeah, well, par for the course. So they finally figure out that, like, hey, there's been a switcheroo made. I thought that whole scene was actually kind of cool. So they, like, essentially, Anna Otonashi, the reporter, they, like, set up a thing where they want to have Secretary General Dago and the two leaders of the Zillions.
The bald guy and then the other guy with the anime hair.
And then the controller who calls himself X. They have them on like a TV show, and they're going to do a little like, hey, what are your, like, we've announced the space nations, and now what, or like, what are we going to do about the whole, like, the freaking planet thing that's coming to destroy us. And it's actually a pretty elaborate trap to prove that the Secretary General has been compromised or actually isn't really him. And what she does is she brings a dog out because the secretary talked about his dog and is just like trying to get him to like call the dog over by name or get some kind of reaction out of him, and he's not reacting at all. And she's like, well, why don't you call him by name? And he like feigns as if he's having some moment and like can't remember
the name,
what the dog is. And it's it's the Zillion guy. Is like, well, why don't you just tell him? Why don't we stop playing these games? What is the dog's name? And she says some name, and he goes, all right, of course, like, well, like, come over, ha ha ha. And then it like, she gets the dog back, and she's like, Candy, thank you, like, it's okay, Candy, you can go into your thing. And she's like, this isn't your dog at all, and I never said it was your dog, and like, blah blah blah.
This is my dog.
Like, yeah. So like, what the
Trapped.
heck? And then
freaking got him.
And then Captain Cauliflower Ear walks in and is like, we know who you are, and like shoots him. And then he like turns into this alien looking corpse thing, right?
Yeah, and then Spiky Hair shoots the bald Zillion guy.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm the king.
Yeah, I'm just going to be in charge now.
Yeah, so
immediate takeover of the Zillion people. So he, in that moment, and increasingly so throughout the film, I really enjoyed the way he portrayed his character. I described him as an anime villain style Zillion leader. Yeah. Everything about him is like an anime villain, just over the top.
Yeah,
exaggerated features. His hair is like sticking straight up.
The laugh.
He's he's overacting.
Like, yeah,
and
just
like,
the
it's just like a comical, ridiculous villain.
Yeah. Yep.
Little sass.
I forgot how this happens, because like what ends up happening is that like what I have written down here is Captain Cauliflower Ear hucking Gleep Glorp up on stage was unnecessarily cool, because he walks in with this dead corpse of an alien and just like hucks it up there on the stage.
That was I think from the scene earlier where the one girl was at the computer and she was confronted by the lady.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, the old
basically
lady.
In their investigation, they had sort of like determined that the other lady was also secretly a Zillion.
Yeah, like the director of the M Academy or whatever, the old lady that like court-martialed Captain Gordon.
Mm-hmm. So there was a whole scene where they sort of like caught them in a lie, and like, hey, we know you're Zillions, and then like the M Force guys, I forget what it's called, are all there.
Yeah, the EDF. They all like pour in.
Yeah, and then there's just like a whole fight, and there's a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah, and hey, another entry in Let's Rip Off the Matrix. We've got all this kung fu fighting, and then we get this like one dude in a room versus, instead of it just being Neo versus a million Agent Smith, it's the commander against a room full of mutants who have had their brains taken over by the Zillions, basically.
I just wrote down large group fistfights are not interesting to watch.
Yeah.
There's just so many things happening at once. It's just... one versus one is... You can make something interesting out of that on screen. But like, so it's a bunch of people swinging at each other with their fists. It's just not that interesting.
Yeah. So then the group of friends, the gang runs. We've got the Scooby-Doo gang of Captain Gordon and Ozaki and Miyuki and like all these people running. And
that's where the Zillion skeleton comes from. That he comes carrying in.
Yeah.
It comes from that, which I wrote down. It was pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
I was like, when that whole thing started, I was like, are they going to turn into monkeys? What are they going to look like?
I'm glad they didn't turn into monkeys.
But yeah, it was a way better direction to go in.
Yeah.
There was also, so when he gave that UN speech and everyone like clapped, there's like one shot of like the Zillions on the screen in the background. And they are all grinning ear to ear.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
Very creepy because it's the only moment in the entire film any of the Zillions smile, I think.
Yeah.
It's very creepy.
Very creepy.
So a lot of confronting happens.
They do the fighting. The guy says, "Go, I'll hold them off," right? And so the gang runs away and they get in that truck and
there's like a motorcycle chase.
Yeah, so it's the guy that Ozaki was sparring with at the beginning of the movie in the Octagon. He's had his brain taken over by the aliens because of that weird hypersonic sound thing that they made.
Yep.
So now he's chasing after them on a motorcycle, and he manages to like flip the van somehow. And then as the van is laying there, Ozaki comes like busting out of the van with an even more like hyperpower like motorcycle, and they take off on a chase. And I have written down here, our thanks to Honda for sponsoring this film. And I, for one, regret what they did to that poor dirt bike. But I did really I thought the gunfight between the two of them using a little bit of like bullet time camera stuff was pretty neat. They're like on these motorcycles circling around each other and shooting at each other.
That whole sequence reminded me of the Matrix movies more than any other bit.
Yeah.
Because it's just all the crazy highway stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's that. And then later in the film, when he stops, freaking what's his face? Ozaki stops all of their gunfire. Yeah. After he figures out, he learns he's a Kaiser.
Not the Germans, but.
Not the Germans, but close. So yeah, they do that. And then, like they get away, whatever, and we go to the now X, the Zillion controller, crazy anime Zillion guy. He,
by the way, our protagonists have a brief conversation post that fight, and one of the girls asks or brings up like, why couldn't they control you? Because like they were able to control everyone else. Why couldn't they control you?
Yeah.
Or he asked that or something. And she's like, well, what's important is that they couldn't. And then it just cuts to the next scene. And I'm like, that's not how writing works. I don't know. Isn't it handy that they couldn't control you? Sure is convenient.
Nuts. Anyways.
Hope that pays off later. Or maybe he's explained in any way, literally.
Yeah. So then we have the scene where the Zillion controller X dude, he like wakes up Gigan and launches it. And he like screams about launching Gigan.
That's cool.
And I wrote down that I thought that was a really cool little nod to Power Rangers, or as they would like what their version of it is, Super Sentai, because he's got very, like you said, he's like just so overly like animated and like rah, and it just reminded me of like Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed. And I brought up Rita Repulsa about freaking what's her name in the Rebirth series, Belvira. Belvira reminded me of Rita Repulsa, so it's just, I don't know. I think I like that little nod. Yeah, and then the next thing I have written down, and we can go back to what you have. I have written down that like military bases and like anytime that they're in like a strategy room or something, finally have that like, or when they're in a ship or anything, they all have that like completely surrounded by technology feel. There are giant screens behind them, on the sides. In front of them is this weird table with the earth and a globe thing, and like there's always there's like the background hum of engines or something, you know what I mean? Like it's just that next step up in production value. Something I noticed was that like it just felt super modern, blockbustery-ish, like Situation Room kind of technology thing. Yeah. What do you got?
Well, I don't remember what's next. So we eventually enter like Act 3 of the movie, and essentially we have anime villain guy is unleashing kaiju back onto Earth.
Mm-hmm. And
so basically it's plan. There's all of our M-Force guys are on the ship, and they're sort of like trapped there, and he's doing evil things, and there's conversations and monologues and things, but they're just kind of stuck there. And the third thing that's happening is at some point there's some kind of like Star Wars Trench Run ripoff mission thing where they're going to like infiltrate a thing. Maybe that's before they all end up with the anime villain. Maybe that's what leads to that. There's like a whole thing where they're like going to basically do like a shield generator destruction run, and there's like a whole bunch of ships, and it's like it's very much like ripped out of like, you know, like Return of the Jedi or Phantom Menace. Like we're gonna infiltrate this big ship, and flying in all these little ships, and then they blow up a thing, and then it's like the shield's gone kind of a situation.
Oh yeah, that's way later. That's like,
is it?
Yeah, that's after they wake up Godzilla.
Oh, for sure. It's just like there's things happening on Earth, and then there's things happening up in the Zillion like control room. Like that's basically the two things that are going on for most of the rest of the film. Yeah. I don't remember how we really get to that state.
So I do. I have that written down because I have some things about that section of the film. So essentially it's like, okay, we are screwed here. Like we've been double crossed. We, you know, like all these people are dead. We don't really have the power to fight all these people. We have this ragtag crew of Captain Gordon and Ozaki, and like, what are we going to do? And they end up eventually they get like the original people back too, like the Dago from the UN and the old lady, like they were like being held prisoner, right? They get like them
much later in the film,
yeah, at some point. But anyways, and so, but the plan is Captain Gordon comes up with this plan. He's just like, hey, I know what we have to do. We have to take the ship down to the Arctic, and we have to like let Godzilla out of this ice jail that we've put him in. We have to wake him up, and then we're going to use, because he's going to wake up and he's going to think that we're still fighting, and so we're going to fly from the Arctic to New York, and we're going to have him fight Rodan, and then we're going to fight, you know, like essentially they just like, he's like, we're going to have him do all of this fighting, and then we're going to take him, we're going to lure him somehow. They literally asked, they're like, how are you going to do it? He's like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Like, we're going to take him back to the Arctic and lock him in there again. And
they take him on a little tour of like where all the kaiju are.
Take him on a little,
kick their butt.
A little tour. So then we get to, there's, we get to them going to the Arctic and waking up Godzilla. And this is where I have written down, this is a whole bunch of what I have written down. First of all, I have written down, Toho, why did it take you until your quote unquote final film to make something this good? I know it's quirky, but it's got feeling, and I actually kind of care about the team trying to make it back to the South Pole to get Godzilla. Like, I actually kind of felt like they did a good job of setting up, like, we've put these people into a corner. It's not just like, oh, what do we, like, oh, some aliens or something. They're literally out of options. And then, so they they go down to the Arctic, they wake up Godzilla, and I would like to know what terrible thing, because we meet these two dudes that are based in the Arctic, and they're there to just make sure Godzilla doesn't wake up, I guess. But they're both like, these two dudes are clearly not originally from a place that is that cold. They are clearly originally from warmer climates. And so what
I didn't write down, but thought Timu, Dwayne Johnson, and Shaq, because they looked a little bit like Dwayne Johnson with hair and Shaq.
Yeah, but like, what terrible thing did they do to have like that be
their station?
That's their station.
Babysit Godzilla.
Yeah, and so like he wakes up, fire in his eyes. He like takes a second to he fights something. Oh, Gigan lands as they wake him up, right? So Gigan comes from Infant Island to the Arctic to fight Godzilla because he's been sent there by the Zillions. And he like defeats Gigan real quick. There's a couple minute fight. He like rips his head off or whatever. And then he just turns around, and I have written down here, here's another swear coming up for all of you who care. Godzilla, with a fire in his eyes, gives a big old fuck you to the poor dudes watching from that base, because he just turns around and lights the thing up. And it's just they did
do
a
have
really
like
good job of
crap moment.
Yeah,
where they're looking out the window.
They do a really good job of like of showing that Godzilla is pissed. He's still pissed, and he like we've picked up exactly where they left off. He is still very angry.
I think they show this by the speed and efficiency by which he defeats like the next 4 kaiju.
Yeah, dude.
Like he literally atomic breaths Gigan's head off in that scene. Just a single breath, and it's just a smoking stump, and then they just move on. Yep. Like it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I liked that Legendary kind of adopted this next idea of like, because he defeats Gigan, and then he turns his attention to the ship, and he has, now they're going to lure him to a fight. But it's the idea of luring Godzilla to a fight using someone that he thinks is his enemy, but is actually an ally. And Legendary does this in Godzilla X Kong, the last one, where they fight Shimu and whatever that weird monkey dude is. Like basically it's like Godzilla has domain over the Earth, and then Kong has domain over Hollow Earth. And if Kong shows up topside, Godzilla's going to go nuts, right? So they send Kong up there to like bait him into coming to Hollow Earth, basically. True. Godzilla versus each monster. These next like 4 monsters that he just goes and like picks off. I thought that this is the spot in the film that had some of the best practical effects, in my opinion.
True. Some good shots, good miniature work, classic stuff.
He made way too easy work of Zilla, threw him into the Opera House.
Sum 41 Godzilla versus Zilla. Literally a Sum 41 song.
Yeah, dude.
And he like Zilla rushes him, and he like dodges and does the tail kick, sends him flying into like freaking greenhouse or whatever the heck that is.
The Opera House.
Blasts him. And then it cuts to the anime villain guy, because he's like monitoring the status of all these fights, and he makes a comment about tuna or something.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that tuna head wasn't going to be very reliable or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next one's Kamanga. and that is the one where like he shoots a web at Godzilla, and Godzilla grabs it like a rope and just spins him around, and it looks like Team Rocket is blasting off again, just like. But I thought the rope thing and the spin, like that it was great. Like they actually had the dude in a suit hold a giant rope that they made like a web and spin around that model of Kumonga. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Then he goes up against that Kamakura, bug on a stick, just like throws him onto that power line or the like power station thing, whatever. So cool.
And it's so quick.
So quick. Just
over
those
so
three
quick.
kills and the Gigan kill is just like he's so angry. And I just it's cool to like see a Godzilla, like a proper Godzilla, like just like wipe like that. You know what I mean? Like he's just on a mission and he's just like there's no time to mess around. And so then we cut to the old man and the little boy and Minya, whatever, baby Godzilla. And they're just walking somewhere, and all of a sudden they all stop dead, right? And I only bring this up because they're looking at something, and then they're all just kind of standing there, and Minya, like, he picks his hands up and he does a little thing and he goes, and he like turns around and just starts running. And the way that he runs to their little truck, and then he's like banging on the door and he's like, let me in. That is my 1-year-old son Max when he wants a cracker or something out of the pantry for a snack. The way that he runs, the way that he's all it's Max. It's so hilarious. Like I rewound the movie while I was watching it and took a clip of it with my phone and sent it to Sam, and she was at the gym. Like I was just like, hey, look, it's Max. Yeah, that's pretty funny. So then we go to it's Mount Fuji, and we get Anguirus
in the mountains,
Rodan, and
big group
King
fight.
Caesar against Godzilla.
And by the way,
is so Dragon Ball Z,
basically
dude.
all these fights are happening, and then it keeps like intercutting to like anime villain guy in the ship being like overacting his disappointment, like,
so
another one. Well, wait till you see this
exacerbated
next fight.
Yeah, just strap in, buddy.
It's almost like he's like a sports commentator, like keeping track of the tabs of all the fights.
Well, and I know that you haven't seen
really
Power
rooting
Rangers.
for one of them to win.
I know that you haven't seen Power Rangers, but that's exactly what happened weekly in every episode of Power Rangers. Is like Rita Repulsa or Lord Zed would send in this major monster, and then it would like grow to 6 times its size, and then the Power Rangers would have to get their Mechazord thing together out of all their little robot things, and they'd have to fight it, and it's cutting back to Rita or Lord Zed just like, no, like just being pissed off at how the whole fight is going, and no, you need to do more, and like it's so Super Sentai Power Rangers, it's not even funny. Just direct ripoff. They play soccer with Anguirus. We get Godzilla going for a full like goalie dive. I thought that was really, I hated that. It felt like we need to do a Godzilla dancing moment, but we don't want to do Godzilla dancing again, but we still want to do, you know what I mean? Like we want a silly moment because we like the silly moments from the 60s or some shit. I don't know, whatever.
I summarized this section as just a little WWE on the mountainside.
Yeah, dude. Just pretty epic fight. I liked it. It was pretty great.
Title.
Oh, yeah, title that. Sure. So then he does that, and then there's now this thing coming from space, right? That is going to crash into the planet. And
that
Godzilla,
he like called down somehow. He like went, oh, to take this, and then it's like arriving for like 30 minutes while these other things are happening.
Oh yeah, the Zillion dude like calls for it or whatever.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, so it has finally arrived. It is close enough to Earth for Godzilla to... I guess Godzilla can see out into space. Title.
There's some unbelievable camera moves.
But then we get Godzilla using his atomic breath and shooting it like a cannon miles into space to slow this thing down in its approach into the Earth. And that is absolutely ridiculous. But then it put into frame for me, and here we are again, the legendary film. It put into frame for me the moment in Godzilla versus Kong before they unveil Mechagodzilla, where Godzilla's in Tokyo, and you remember the big like neon scene, and he like he does his atomic blast into the Earth and does it all the way through the Earth. That scene came right back into my head. I was like, oh, that's where they got that idea for Godzilla being able to choose how powerful his atomic breath is. Yeah. Or how hard he wants to do it, because he can shoot it into space, miles into space. He can do it deep into the Earth, all the way through the Earth, basically. Because then he makes a way for Kong to jump through that hole, and then he ends up in Tokyo on the other side of the world. Absolutely bonkers. But that's Godzilla, baby. So then we get Predator with a weird helmet, aka Monster X. Shows
I was seeing like it seemed like a xenomorph tail almost.
Well, yeah, he's got the way
he's like. He's like
dual
slowly hovering down to the ground, and he's kind of all cat-like in his movement.
Yeah, he's very like, he's very cat-like. He's got the double.
They modeled xenomorphs
tail.
after cat movements, I'm pretty sure.
But then he's got the Predator like helmet deal. I know, and there's like the shoulder pads that they all look like heads, right? And
it's a cool design.
Get him, they start fighting, and then X sends in he has a rebuilt Gigan that he sends back in, Mr. Chainsaws for hands title. And so they send him back in, and here is where I made a note that I actually really do like the Zillion's look in this movie. Especially I like the way Gigan and Monster X look, that like silvery black with red, I don't know, it's just really cool, really hot design. I think it's really cool. So they're fighting, they're kind of like overpowering Godzilla, and then we get Kamikaze Mothra. That was a pretty cool scene. That was a cool bit where Gigan chops off part of her wing, and then she comes back and
Gigan's Gigan can fly. He's like flying around chasing Mothra.
Yeah, and they're like colliding in air, and then he chops off a piece of her wing, and then she comes back later and does her scales thing, and then just lights herself on fire somehow, flies through an explosion and crashes into Gigan, and that's the end of him.
No, he shoots spinning saw blades, and I don't remember. I don't think it's really clear how this happens. Something she does influences it, but the saw blades, she dodges them, but then they come around like a boomerang and ultimately slice off his own head. That's
right. They sliced off his own head. I forgot about that.
It's sort of implied that Mothra affected them somehow.
Yeah, with her scales probably. Because she's Mothra.
Yeah, the head just falls off.
Yeah, and then but then she still does some kamikaze thing and explodes in a ball of fire and knocks into him anyways. And what it's kind of assuming or assuring that he's dead.
Is this when space battle starts and they're trying to infiltrate the ship and
yes, yep,
blow up like a shield generator. It's exactly like the one in Phantom Menace. I mean,
yes,
that Anakin blows up.
Yeah, it is. It's so.
It's a direct ripoff, and like we know there's going to be a tough CG in this film, but it's like we're talking like video games cinematic level. Ugh, poorly designed, concepted.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad.
That's sometime around here is when that happens. I don't even remember who's doing that.
Well,
yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember either. The next thing I have written down is when they're fighting and Captain Gordon. He does a Vulcan neck pinch on somebody. He goes to, she's like, you would punch a lady, and he's got his fist, and he looks at it, and he opens his hand. He goes, yeah, I would, and then he karate chops her in the neck. Does Captain Gordon do a Vulcan neck pinch on that lady? And then fun fact, that move is illegal in 48 states. The Vulcan neck pinch. The Vulcan neck pinch is illegal in 48 states.
The Vulcan neck pinch is illegal. 48 states. That's good. That's a good title.
And then they essentially make their way up to the main control room of the ship. They've got X there, and then they have the whole back and forth about yeah, you're not the reason I couldn't control you is because we're brothers, and you're a Kaiser,
you're like a super mutant,
you're
that means.
Exactly
chosen thing.
Yeah, you're Super Saiyan, and
he eventually has that monologue. But honestly, they all got up into that room with quite an overlap with all these kaiju fights because they're standing there for a long time while he's barely managing to not appear disappointed at every kaiju that's defeated down on Earth.
Yeah.
He's trying to in a comical way, trying to be oh no, it's still going all according to plan.
As he's as he's sending more monsters, and they keep falling to Godzilla, and
But yeah, he goes on this whole over the top villain monologue, over explaining this idea of Kaisers, and beyond that, what's weird about it, other than just he's just monologuing about it and explaining stuff. Explaining stuff is boring. He's explaining to our main character guy essentially that eventually he's gonna be super powered and will have he'll be so powerful, and he's explaining that to someone who is his enemy, and this makes no sense to me. If you were a super powerful person and you knew that someone had the potential to become very powerful, why would you tell them? It doesn't make any sense.
It's because
that's something
it's his flaw.
Keep your cards close to your chest.
Exactly. That's his flaw. He's an idiot because what he does directly after that is attack him and attempt to take over his brain, and it works, but only for a few minutes, and Ozaki is able to, oh no, this is where the freaking Mothra thing comes in. She has the sword, and she stabs him in the back, and it knocks him out of the whole thing, right?
And then he becomes Neo from the Matrix.
Then he has his Super Saiyan moment, and then there's this the moment where okay, I'm gonna fight him, you guys go, and they all run away, and Captain Gordon and the rest of them run away, and he's you guys got to get off the ship, I got to take care of this. And then there's this whole room full of now people from the ship, and they're all just firing those guns at them. And it was another that was a total Star Wars ripoff moment for me. They totally just seemed
pew 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 pew.
Yeah, well, it seemed to they were either supposed to be stormtroopers, or I thought of Clone Wars era droids. The Roger
mindless
those
shooting.
Yeah, those kind of, or they're just do and then there's a really convenient explosion that takes all of them out after what's his face, Captain Gordon does his thing too, or whatever. And then we go back outside, and I don't remember how it ends up happening, but like essentially Monster X is revealed to actually be a new version of King Ghidorah, Kaiser Ghidorah. And
still KG.
Still KG.
It's kind of a cool reveal. I did say out loud, of course it's King Ghidorah.
Oh, you didn't realize that before that?
No.
Oh,
there is no gold. There was sort of, it looked vaguely like 3 heads, but...
Yeah. That's cool that it didn't occur to you, because I know it didn't occur to me the first time I saw this movie either. I knew it was, but like I'm glad that it was not that apparent.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that design? Like, let's talk about the Kaiser Ghidorah design. I'd like to just take a pause here.
It looks a little more robotic looking. Mm-hmm. You know, almost like gold and gray. Yeah,
this like purplish gray stuff on its neck. I have written down Kaiser Ghidorah is easily the worst design ever. 4 legs? ? Fuck you.
There's 4 legs?
Yeah, it walks on 4 legs and has its 2 tails, and then the 3 heads. Like, why?
Well, X must have had 4 legs. I couldn't have noticed that.
X was walking. It was bipedal, like a human, and it like morphs into it's like a centaur. It's like a centaur and King Ghidorah had an unholy union.
All I know is did not last very long because Godzilla went ham.
Well, so what's happening then is like Kaiser Ghidorah is like whipping him around. There's like the lightning, shooting him with the lightning, but then he's like Kaiser Ghidorah pulls a Wonder Woman and is using like lightning lassos to like throw Godzilla all over the place. And then Ozaki does the Super Saiyan thing, but like transfers all of his power to Godzilla.
Like through the ship or something? It's very vague.
Yeah, I don't know. He just kind of just goes, wah! Like literally like a Super Saiyan. And
that's what the pitch meeting was like, I'm sure. And he just goes like this.
He just
shot it. And then later they just kind of made it glow.
Yeah, so then Ozaki's got that lizard juiced. Shout out to Godzilla King of the Monsters. And he does this really sick, like 360 spin to charge up the super atomic beam. So badass.
And his atomic goes red.
Yeah, red, and just blows Kaiser Ghidorah back into space, and then
that's after
up.
He ripped off all 3 heads with his bare hands.
Dude, I forgot he ripped.
Dude, the head
he rips one head off.
So awesome.
He takes the other head. He rips the first head off, and then he takes the second one. And as the second one shoots lightning, he points that head at the other one, and that's how he severs that one. And then he rips the third head off. So great! I want more blood. Dude, can you imagine if we had like a rated R version of like this? Like this much monster mayhem, but like a rated R version. Let's go.
You're describing the Matrix.
Yeah, but the Matrix with kaiju, dude. I want to see like, and there's the part in King of the Monsters where like Ghidorah gets one of its heads ripped off and then it like regrows in this really weird, grotesque way. I want more of that. I want it to be grosser. That's why I like Shin Godzilla so much. It's like that. Like he's so
strange.
Yeah, like he. I saw this meme recently of like, I was a lizard and I was a dinosaur, blah, blah, blah. And then it's, the original Godzilla. And then it's this one of the ones from the 50s where it was like they went back to the island and, the T-Rex thing. And then it shows Shin Godzilla. He goes, "You guys were dinosaurs? I was a worm."
Literally.
So he does that and then literally turns right around and goes after the Gotenga, the ship, again.
Yeah, he goes right back to the ship.
You thought I would just
dedicated.
forget? Like he takes him down. And so now they've all exited the ship. He's standing there about to attack them. They're all standing there. And then our boy, the man of the hour, my boy Max Minya comes bobbling into the scene. And
Caleb,
like,
this was my double birds moment. I literally flipped off the screen. I just what? You had something going. Why did you have to take a dump on it?
So okay,
I hate it so much.
Well, how would you would have just had him destroy them and then fuck off out to sea, or what?
Sure, that's better than that. It's way better. That'd be awesome. Godzilla wins, leaves, kills everybody, drops
leaves
Mike,
everything
50th
on
anniversary.
Fire, yeah,
people be talking about that for years.
Actually, you know what?
I wasn't sure how it was going to end, but
that would actually be great.
We hadn't seen Manila in a while at this point.
Just torches everything that is done. So from here, he the little boy does the thing in front of the people, like, no, don't shoot them. And Minya looks at him and then is like, oh, I should do that. And he looks at Godzilla and puts his arms out, and they're like,
really?
All
That's
right,
how you're gonna end this film?
I
really,
guess.
though?
So here's what I have written down for this little ending scene here. Great movie. Cute ending, and I'm happy that Godzilla was able to go free and that we didn't have to sit through Captain Gordon trying to take him back to the Arctic again. I was not looking forward to that. Secondly, apparently that whole closing scene was composed, the song was written by Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Merry Christmas, everyone. Love Godzilla. The end. That music is so Trans-Siberian Orchestra, it hurts. Title. So
sure.
Oh, dude. Yeah. All I wanted to, kind of. Yeah, actually.
So I have a trivia piece for this movie.
I do too. I've got a couple trivia pieces
about the music.
Okay.
Which is why I'm questioning what you're saying.
I don't think it was actually written by Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It just made me think like that closing piece of music. I was
it sounded like that to you.
I feel like I'm listening to Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Okay, well, here's my trivia. There are 3 composers for this movie. Daisuke Yano, Nobushiko Morino. I don't know anything about those 2. Here's the third. Keith
Akira
Emerson.
Fukube?
Keith Emerson. Of like Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah.
Composed music for this movie.
Whoa.
And I knew that for most of the movie because I looked it up in the first 5 minutes.
Whoa.
And that ending song, I was like, this is Emerson, Lake and Palmer, baby. This is prog rock. That's what this is. That's what I'm hearing right now.
Wow.
Very prog rock.
Yeah.
So the Emerson came out there. I'm assuming that was his influence.
This is my moment here. I'm gonna put my.
I don't know if he just composed some random themes and then the rest was filled in by the other people, or I don't really know how
really
it was
cool.
split up because most of the music was terrible. But that ending bit stood out as sounding very different than the rest of the music from the film. So I assume that was him because it sounded like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or a Kansas groove or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
ELO, or I don't know.
Have I told you my Kansas story?
You used to live there?
About wrestling in Anaconda back into
Tornado
Kansas.
Country.
Anyways,
wrestling in Anaconda
back into Kansas. Yeah.
What? What are you talking about? Oh God! Let's end this episode, brother.
It's so long.
So the movie
midnight
ends
here. So movie ends.
And
great.
This was how they chose to end the 50th anniversary. What's your rating?
4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5.
You went from 2.5 to 4.
4.5 out of 5.
You really jumped.
I did. I enjoyed it a lot. It's the most anime of all the movies, and I think that's why I enjoyed it so much this time around. It just is so the 2000s. I like it. What did you rate it?
I thought I was being generous by giving it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
It was wild. Wild and all over. So the plot of this, here's my attempt at the plot of this movie. All of a sudden, kaiju are fighting everywhere in the world. All of a sudden, they disappear. Aliens show up. The world leader guy makes friends with the aliens. Then it's revealed that they're also aliens. Then they re-release most of the same kaiju on the Earth because they can. Then they're like, well, we need Godzilla to fight them all. And Godzilla kills them all. And then there's a bunch of monologues from the villain. And then the movie ends. That's basically the story. But a 2-hour version of that.
2-hour version of that. A 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour.
I think my feeling of it is like, it felt like an hour and change amount of material. But the pacing felt like it was a 3-hour movie that they cut down to 2. And the juxtaposition of those two things, it just felt very off to me. Like the pacing was like, there was so much they had to cut out. But if you actually look at the story, there's not that many story beats that we're hitting here. Like, there's not a lot that happens.
No, there's not.
But I do agree that it's like very anime, and maybe that's why it's not gelling with me. I don't know. I don't always gel with animes.
Whatever. That's why
the homage to all the things were nice.
Yes. All the actors,
and you have to have seen it all to appreciate all the homages.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have 2 trivia things.
Okay.
/ just 2? Yeah, just 2. Dr. Miyuki Otonashi, her English dub voice actor is a woman named Andrea Kwan. And she is actually pretty famous in the world of like English dubs for Japanese things. We've heard her voice before. Well, I've heard her voice. She was the English voice of Belvira in the Rebirth of Mothra series, but she's also
dub.
Yeah, but what made her really popular is she's the English dub voice of Goku for all 153 episodes of the original Dragon Ball.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Akira Takarada, he was the UN guy with the goatee and the silver suit. This was his last Godzilla film before he died in 2022. He had filmed a cameo in the legendary Godzilla, but it got cut from the final movie, but he's still listed in the credits of that movie.
Which one?
The first legendary Godzilla. He filmed a cameo for it, but it didn't make it into the final movie.
Did you catch Hedorah in this movie?
Yes, I did.
Very briefly.
So
you could spot the eyes for a second, and then you get slammed into a building. Yeah. I guess there were a lot more scenes. This is a trivia item, but most of them were cut, unfortunately.
There's just
you do see him destroyed, but the rest of the...
Yeah, he's only there for a couple seconds. That's such a bummer they cut the rest out.
Yeah.
I've got one more piece. The opening montage contains stock footage from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
There's so much, dude.
28 films. 2 of them are not Godzilla films. Prophecies of Nostradamus and Conflagration. I've never even heard of either one of those, but they're from the 70s, so that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, dude. This is one of the movies. I think that the poster for this that is on Gojipedia that I will put on I'll put in the show notes, Tippy Toe Lemon Tree, is really, really cool. And movie posters. Movie posters are so cool. It looks very Star Wars. Looks very Star Wars.
Could also put it on the screen, you know?
Yeah, we'll just put, I guess I could just cut it here into the little, let it float this way or that way or whatever. Anyways, so yeah, that is Godzilla Final Wars, the last film by Toho until...
that currently exists.
Until Godzilla -1 came out. What year was that? -1.
2021, I think. Am I right?
2023.
Oh yeah, much more recent.
Yeah. So a nearly 20-year break from Godzilla movies from Toho.
Shin was not Toho?
Oh, I forgot about Shin. Yeah, my bad.
That was 2016, I think.
Yeah.
But that wasn't like a franchise reboot. It wasn't them doing things their way. It was just a one-off, you know?
Yep.
Seems to be kind of the way they're approaching it now, so. Wow. End of a journey here.
Yeah, we did it.
But we're not done.
Okay, let's take a moment here. We could probably come back to this in another episode, but just a short moment. What do you think of the franchise overall? I don't think you need to say a whole sentence or whatever, just maybe.
Yeah, I imagine we're going to get into this a lot in our two finale episodes.
I will rephrase it. I'll rephrase the question. Are you glad that you have gone on this journey?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
It's great. I just in talking about this podcast with people randomly, or like the last, I don't know, what has it been, 2 years or something? Mm-hmm. Sometimes people will ask like, oh, like, you know, what's your favorite one, or what's one you'd recommend, or, you know, where would I start, or what's one that's worth watching, or something like that. And I'll say different things at different times. But one thing I've said consistently all times, which is sort of an answer to your question, which is overall, I think there's probably only like 5 or 6 movies that I'd be like, that one's worth watching, in my opinion. Like, ones that are like stand out, like, that one's cool, that one's worth watching. Mm-hmm. And then the rest is like, it's for the mega fan, you know? Like, that's who it's for.
Yeah.
They're not like the greatest movies, but there's things to appreciate about them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lore, you know?
Yeah, a lot of lore.
It's kind of a niche thing.
Yeah. It's very me. A lot of lore and kind of niche. With that, I will say you need to go to patreon.com/theoneaboutgodzilla to hear some of the juicy details that we have here next. And I want to say thank you. If you've watched all of these, that's really, really cool. And
or listened, either way.
Or, you know, whatever. Yeah, if you've listened, made it through all of these movies with us, that's really, really cool. And I commend you for it. Well, I'll send us off with a big thank you to Christian Bale for a nice little bump in the fandom. That was really great. Turns out, if you're still here, Christian Bale is really into Godzilla movies, assuming it's real. He enjoys Godzilla movies, and that's what I appreciate about him. That's what I appreciate about you.
It says here that he said, supposedly, I love Godzilla, all the different kinds, Shin Godzilla, Monster vs. Godzilla, all the older Japanese movies. Those are the things I love watching. All right. Okay, Batman. You
heard it here from Batman, everybody. Go watch Godzilla movies. We'll see you.
He also said that you should listen to the one about Godzilla movies.
I mean, it's part of the lore. We're part of the lore now. We've done every movie
for legal reasons. He did not say that.
Please don't sue us.